Yeah, tomorrow 12 p.m. you all need to be here, and you need to tell all your friends to be here at 12. That's what I'm saying. Yes, pop in then, Hannah. Pop in. H is here but tidying up. My mother is staying over this weekend. Infinite's got her mum there at the moment as well. What is it with the mothers tonight? Is it Thursday night, Mother's Night, where the mums just turn up? Hello, Aura, Mama Five, Georgie. Thank you, everyone, for sending heart me's. If you haven't sent one, please do. If not, there is a goodie bag if you've got no coins that'll open in 4.5 minutes. So you can get some coins, but all you got to do is share the live to get some coins. Can I propose a topic or Jeffrey Dahmer wants to propose a topic or discussion? Are you aware of how terrifying that is, Jeffrey Dahmer? Hello, Debs. Hello, babe. I'm gonna say no, Jeffrey Dahmer, because I'm quite traumatized about what you're gonna suggest. I tell you what, um, could you send it to Miss Obsessed? She's my PA. She'll take any requests. Zoe, you can deal with Jeffrey Dahmer because I can't. I can't. Hello, Jojo Life. Hello, Loz. Should we get started? Let's get started. That's right, Zoe. I've just sent Jeffrey Dahmer to your inbox because I cannot today. Today is not the day for playing around with Jeffrey Dahmer. She'll find you, Jeffrey. Don't worry. She probably ran. She's probably hiding under a duvet as we speak. Anyway, you're welcome. There she is. Uh, right, tonight we are here for Parenting Live. Hello, Dan. Hope you're good. Not been on to see you. Sorry. Oh, don't worry, Dan. You're here now, darling, and thank you for being here. Right, so all you lot have got to do tonight is tap the screen, share the live, and repost the live. Drop me lots of comments because all of that helps push the live out. When we do these lives, what happens is because it's not drama, it doesn't really get pushed as much widely. So we do need you guys all to be commenting as much as you can, and like engaging as much as you can. That would be amazing. So we are every Thursday we do a parenting live, and on Tuesdays at 5 we do a women's health live. Um, and tonight we are talking about breaking generational trauma. So if you've not been to one of these lives before, I kind of do a little intro. I have some questions. Some of you can jump in a box and share, or you can answer in the comments, like whatever is, best for you. Mods, if you see any more people asking questions like Leah has, I'm not telling you off, Leah, can you respond to them if you can see the comments so that I don't have to keep stopping and letting people know that they can be seen? Um, because and just a reminder that TikTok is eating comments. It's not, anything that I'm doing. TikTok is eating a lot of your comments. So like if you post something and it doesn't come through, try and reword it and post it again. That's the best advice. If not, one of the mods will let you know if they can see your comments, because it interrupts my flow sometimes if I read the comments too much. So I start by doing an introduction, like an opening statement, tell you what we're talking about, and then we open up the room. You can engage in the comments or you can get in the boxes as well. It's completely up to you. So, there we go. Dan's got a little handy tip in the chat. So we're going to start by just talking about generally what is generational trauma. Um, and I'm just going to read some stuff to you, and then I'm going to do my little opening, and then we're going to get into it. I have some questions, or we just will see wherever the conversation goes. So, generational trauma, also called intergenerational or ancestral trauma, refers to the emotional and psychological wounds that are being passed down from one generation to the next. And this can happen when parents or grandparents or other family members they experience trauma, such as abuse, neglect, war, discrimination, or addiction, and the effects of that trauma influence how they behave, how they parent, or how they relate to others. So, for example, if someone grows up in an environment where their parents are overly strict or emotionally unavailable due to their own past struggles, that can shape how the child sees the world and interacts with others, potentially carrying those patterns of behavior into their own life or their own parenting style. And the good news is that recognizing generational trauma is the first step to breaking the cycle. So, by addressing it through awareness, through communication, therapy, the queen of therapy over here, and internal choices, it is possible to heal and create a healthier path forward for yourself and for your family. If you missed this at the start, I have a terrible, terrible throat. So my voice will change and I'm struggling with my voice a bit. So please bear with me. And if you were lucky enough to get some coins out of the goodie bag and wouldn't mind sharing a heart me or a team bracelet, that would be amazing. And I'm going to drop another goodie bag for you all right now. So let's get into my introduction, and then we will ask some questions and open the room. And thank you to the mods for posting support numbers in the poll. And please just be mindful of how you're feeling throughout this live. It is likely to bring up stuff for you. As we go through this, you may hear stories from other people that will resonate with you. And if at any time, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the team bracelets. If stuff comes up for you, there are support numbers, but also if you need to take a break out of this room, then please do that. Good evening, Kelly. Hello, Charlie. So, breaking generational trauma is a brave and deeply personal journey. And it's about recognizing patterns and cycles in our families that no longer serve us and choosing to do things differently, not just for ourselves, but for our children and future generations. It is hard work, it's not easy, but it's also incredibly powerful and incredibly healing as well. Tonight, we are creating a space to talk openly about this journey. Whether you're just starting to unpack your family history or you have been actively working to break cycles for years, your story, your perspective all matter. So let's explore the challenges tonight. Let's celebrate the victories that we've made and let's support one another as we navigate through this together. And remember, there is no right or wrong way to approach this. It's just your way. So let's dive into this conversation tonight with honesty and compassion for one another. Oh, Yaya says I need this. Just realised I've opened up on the wrong profile because I wanted to have the comments on the screen. I can't because I'm going to miss all these comments. Georgie says I was upset initially I was having a girl as I didn't want to continue the cycle, but I ended it. Oh, bless you. Oh, Mama Five says I need this as well. All right, let's get into this, shall we? So I want to start by asking you all a question about when you reflect on the past, your past. And again, I'm going to ask, right, guys, when you're answering questions today, hey, Foofs. Hello, Amy. Hello, Loz. Hello, everyone. Um, when you're answering questions tonight, I really want you to think about your perspective as a parent, or even if you're not a parent, um, because you can have generational trauma and not obviously have kids. But this is a parenting live, which is the main focus of it. So I'm going to speak more to parents tonight. But even if you're not a parent and you want to comment on, how you are trying to change things in your family, that's absolutely fine. What I would implore you all to do versus telling your trauma story, really try and focus your answers to on how you're trying to do things differently. And that's to protect myself, it's to protect everyone in the room, because when we talk about stuff like this, it is heavy. And some of us have got some very heavy generational traumas. And rather than, it is Georgie, rather than, and I know that's really restrictive and probably a little bit wanky. I'm just trying to protect everyone in the room tonight. So less less focus on the trauma itself, more the discussion tonight really is more on what are you doing and what are your steps that you're trying to do to break that generational trauma. Is that making sense? I don't know if I explained that very well. I'm hoping that made sense. We like wanky. Okay, great. Thank you. So my first question for you all is: when did you first realize that certain patterns in your family might be part of generational trauma? Let me see if I can get that in the chat for you all. When did you first realize? If it does come through, mods, can you pin it for me? I can see it my end. I just don't know if it's come through your end. When did you first realize that certain patterns in your family might be part of generational trauma? Ah, brilliant. Thank you, Yaya. JB says, when I became a mum. Fifi says, in my late teens. Danny said, when I was about 12 or 13. Dan said, when I'd finally had enough and cut them off. Listen, I hear you hard on that one. I hear you hard on that one. Mrs. BBX, when I had children myself, when I was about 12, mum of 5. When I became a mum, late teens for Cat Crazy. Meg says, when I became a mum. Um, Amy, when I moved out of home. Queen Shady says, when my sister was born 11 years after me, and even more so when I was a mum, when I was 11. So some of you were really quite young. I'm going to say for me, I was probably around 12 or 13 as well. Yaya said, when something happened within my little family 6 years ago, 17 for Miss Obsess, 18 for Loz. So what we're seeing by these answers, 15 for Loz and then 18, is that so some people kind of have the realization quite young that there are patterns of behavior, or there are things in our family that we know that we don't want to carry forward with us. And from some of the answers, some of you are saying it was a bit later in life for you to have that realization. um, so the next question I want to ask you then is, how do you identify what is generational trauma versus what is just like a family habit or a family tradition? So how do you identify what is generational trauma versus what is just habits that your family does? I'm going to pop that in the chat. Let's see if that will come through. Charlie said, I realized in my teens, but I'm only dealing with it now in my 40s. Tixtical says, when I had physiology for depression and anxiety, and he explained, yeah. So the next question is, how do you identify what is generational trauma versus what is just a family habit or tradition? Yaya says, repeated negative behaviors, yeah. Miss Obsessed says, negative behavior that has a lasting mental impact. Yep. Becky says, it's a pattern It's a pattern within the generations, which is circle negative behavior. Oh, you meant psychology. I thought you did. I went to say psychological. Um, Mama Five says gaslighting over and over again. Negative behavior that stays with you and impacts your mental health, says H. Yes. Yes, 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 yes to that. Georgie says the overspill, and that isn't something that some can control. Fifi says when those habits are negative or a negative impact, also friends questioning my reality. The never ending pattern, says Mrs. BBX. What do you mean by that, Meg? Do you mean that when she was dying, that's how you identified the generational trauma? Do you mean? Uh, Gaslighting and narcissism from Loz. The goodie bag is open, everyone. If you are a pirate, please could you send a heart me or a team bracelet before you run off? Thank you. Dropped another goodie bag. Um, okay. Fifi says, so what I thought was normal for everyone, I realised it wasn't. Yeah. Georgie says, unstable is a good word and it's learned, ingrained, and difficult for some people to stop. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Do any of you ever like look at your family? So let's say, like, I don't know, your mum or your dad and their behaviours, and can you quite easily see? I mean, it could be also aunties, uncles. It could even be no, yeah, aunties, uncles, or your parents. And then do you ever look at like your grandparents, and think you can see you can you, you can see where their behaviours come from? If that does that make sense? I don't know. That wasn't a very. I don't know if I summarised that very well. Mama Five says 100%. Okay, I'm seeing lots of yeses. So I think for me, I didn't speak to my mum for a very long time. It was either 25 or 27 years. So I just cut her off. But when I did reconnect with her, again, after a lot of therapy, after setting boundaries with her, very clear boundaries about how this relationship would move forward. Um, before she passed away, one of the things that I'm really grateful for were the conversations that we had where I didn't have an easy childhood at all, and don't worry, I'm not going to trauma dump on you. I didn't have an easy childhood. I'll leave it at that. But through speaking with her once we'd reconnected and learning about her past and how my grandma had treated her, and also learning about how my grandma was treated by my great grandma. For me, at least, and this won't be for everyone, but for me at least, I certainly then understood why I had had such a bad childhood because it was passed down and there was very obvious patterns of how my mum was treated by her mum and then how her mum was treated by her mum. Um, Danny says, I get that. I stopped speaking to my mum for 5 years and I'm so happy I did. Yeah, and I think sometimes for our own mental well beings, and, again, not for everyone, but sometimes for our own protection, we do have to sometimes step away from family. As hard as that may be, but for our own sanity and our own mental well being. And again, I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying that's something I had to do for me. Uh, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I did. Vic says my granddad 100% had undiagnosed autism and it absolutely contributed. Yeah. And Danny says, but getting back speaking, yeah, you completely understand her part. Yeah. Mama Five says, if I didn't do it for myself, I had to do it for my children. Yes, absolutely. Yes, Fifi. Too many times we are told, but it's family. We must do what's right for ourselves and our children. The amount of times I was told either by family members to speak to my mum or outsiders, or I'd have relationships with people and they just could not understand why I did not speak to my mum. And they would say things, but that's your mum and you've only got one mum and she birthed you. And but they had no idea of the trauma that we as children of my mum lived through. Um, and sometimes, if you come from a household where you've never experienced that, it can sometimes be the worst advice telling somebody to talk to somebody that has inflicted trauma on them, right? Yeah, I like that. The Art of Protest. Art of Protest has written, time and space are great healers. They 100% are. Miss Obsessed said, it's important as adults that we set boundaries so that we can heal. 100%. And it can also, again, like it's not easy, it's not easy for some people to walk away. Um, and sometimes even in my own family, I see patterns where people who haven't walked away are still caught in that cycle and are still living through that cycle. And in order for me to heal, in order for me to be the best mum, I knew that I had to cut off certain family members who are still stuck in that generational trauma loop that holds them back in many ways. Um, Thank you, Fifi. Yeah, 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 100%. Oh, Loz says me and my mum didn't used to get on, and now we are besties. Yeah, I love that. Dan says definitely that's what I put up for so long. Hey Maria, good evening. Danny says not every child gets the same love, unfortunately, and that is so true. That is so true. That's bringing up some stuff for me right now, so I'm just gonna scroll down. That's very true. Vic says I can forgive someone and not talk to them. That's really powerful, Vic. That's really powerful. Georgie says I engage on my terms, my rules, and we have that clarity. Our relationship is great on restricted terms. Yeah, and that's where it it had to be with my mum. I honestly, I've told you a lot before. I'm a stubborn motherfucker, and when I cut people off, I cut people off. And so to even give her the opportunity to come back into my life, it was very much again after I'd done a lot of therapy, after I'd done a lot of healing. I could not have done that. Right, there would have been no reconnection if I hadn't have done the work. And by doing the work, it meant I could be strong for my daughter. She hadn't met my daughter until she was 6 or 7, and I had to set very firm boundaries. Um, that if you come back into our life, it's on my terms. And she agreed to it, largely because she was very, very ill, and I don't think she had any fight in her left. But by agreeing to those boundaries, there was a level of respect there that she gave towards me, but also recognized by her opening up and sharing her trauma stories with me that I could then get some understanding of why our childhood was so fucked up. Vic says nobody is entitled to your time and energy. It's always yours to give. Look at Vic with the fucking quotes tonight. I am okay, H. Thank you. Maxine said, I never really realised what this was until right now, to be honest. Bless you, Maxine. And that's why these conversations are so important, right? Sometimes we're stuck in a loop and we don't even know what the fuck's going on. Hello, Claire Bear. Mama Five says, as a child, I forgive them, but as a mum, I'll never understand why. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. And maybe in time you will, maybe you won't, you know? Um, Maria says, the only thing I have to thank my mum or my family for is showing me the type of mum I never wanted to be. Yeah, and I really hear you on that. You know, I always knew from a very young age, I was like, if I ever became a mum, I had like a checklist of things I was never going to do to my child or say to my child. Um, so one of the things for me uh, was, no, the art of protest. You're so welcome, darling. Um, I was never told as a child that I was loved ever. Like my mum didn't know how to say those words. She wasn't capable of because she was never told those words. So, but I always knew other kids were told that they were loved. And so one of the things I always said was, I will always, if I ever have a child, I'll always tell my child every day that they're loved, even when she does my fucking nothing. You know, the last thing before she goes to bed, um, is I always tell her that I love her, always, even if I'm pissed off or mad. But but again, that was a lesson from my mum. So however painful that was for me to live through that, it gave me kind of life lessons in a very weird way. Ah, really, JG Rose? It's like, so even though that was horrible for me as a child to live through, that's why I've had to have so much therapy. Um, it's almost given me the blueprint of what I should be doing. Ah, thank you for saying that, Dan. Um, so, you know, out of out of horrible situations sometimes, you know, we take what we can from that. Thank you, Vix. Thank you, darling. Um, Maxine said, I didn't know wasn't normal until I had kids. I say it to them all the time. Yeah, I say it to my daughter all the time. All the time. Probably overkill at this point. But you know, that's from, you know, not having ever been told that. And I wouldn't want a child to, you know, that's just like one little kind of thing of breaking generational trauma. And you know, when I play it back, you know, my gran would never tell my mum that she loved my mum, and I'm pretty sure her mum, my great grandma, probably never told my grandma that, right? So the patterns, the lineage of that is so obvious. Um, oh, do you, mum of five? I wish me and my siblings are not like that. But again, there's a lot of generational trauma. Um, but I love that for you, mum of five. I think it's so important that that's possible. Thank you for the polls, mods. You're doing stellar work, everybody. Georgie says, I was diagnosed with BPD because of my traumatic childhood, and I was not gifting my life to my kids. Oh, well done, Georgie. Well done, darling. Maxine says, I say I love you and get an eye roll, and I know, mummy. You told me 2 minutes ago. Yeah, man, kill them with the love. And do you know what? The reason why I do that is because I know she's going to do that with her kids. And that's how I know I'm breaking that generational trauma. Annoying as it is now, I know that she will pass that on to her kids and her great grandkids and so on and so on. And it's those small little things for me by me saying I love you. I say it when she gets out of the car in the morning for school. You know, I say it a lot. And I'll be honest with you, when I first started doing it, um, it was uncomfortable as fuck because like I almost felt like I was saying the words, but I didn't mean it. I was saying the words because I knew it was something that hadn't been said to me. And so I felt like a fraud saying I love you all the time. But it was because it's never been said to me. But I knew I didn't want that to carry on. So yeah, it's not easy. Um, I hope that makes sense. Fufi says, I approached adult life being the adult I needed as a little girl. Yeah, same, Foofs. Same. It makes us tough old broads, doesn't it? When you raise yourselves and you don't have an adult that raises you and you have to raise yourself. Yes, H, exactly that. Healing my inner child by giving my kids what I needed. 100%. And you know, like when people say be kind to yourself, like for me, when I hear that, I always think of like little Remy, the inner child Remy, like be kind to her. So whenever feelings and stuff are coming up, and people are like, you know, be kind to yourself. It's like, what does my inner child need? What is she lacking or was she lacking that I then kind of, you know, tap into to make myself feel better. But yeah, the inner child's the work is so important. If any of you've never um had therapy or know much about your inner child, I would highly recommend that, you know, there are lots of books on inner child. You could probably go on YouTube and watch some stuff. But like it's a really good place to start to look at healing yourself and feeling better about yourself. I can't think of any off the top of my head to recommend to you, but healing that inner child who may have had trauma in some way. And trauma, when we talk about trauma, it's not always the big things like, you know, having an abusive parent or an alcoholic parent or a druggy parent or, you know, it can be smaller things that may have damaged your inner child. So I would definitely recommend. Oh, here we go. Georgie's got a book. Chimp Paradox is a great book. Can mods pin that for me, please? Jim Bunny is recommending EMDR. I've heard so much good stuff about EMDR. I've never done it yet. I'll say yet because I probably will. Listen. The chat's just jumped down and scrolled over about 20 comments. So I'm so sorry if I've missed something important. Gossip Girl says, I raised my children exactly how I wished I was raised. Yeah, 100% agree with you there. I'm the same. All right. Question for you. Are there specific values or lessons from your upbringing that you want to change or approach differently with your children? Sorry, guys, I am aware that I just went off on a tangent there and just told you a load of shit about my life. Um, we'll get back to the questions and not make it all about me. Sorry. Um, are there specific values or lessons from your upbringing that you want to change or approach differently with your children? Fufi recommends Homecoming. No worries, Zoe. Oh, thanks, Danny. Be accepting of my children and support them. Mm, yep. Give me one or two, JB. Give me one or two. Maria says, I'm very open with my kids and we discuss important topics which are tough. Yep, but needed. Agreed. I also talk. Weirdly, I've talked to my daughter about um, like the generational trauma from my mum. Like I've been very open with her about it, even though they've been hard conversations. Um, Not because I want her to like feel sorry for me in any capacity. I want her to have that knowledge, but to also understand why I parent the way I parent. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. Uh, but it's what I've done. Because I'm quite open in that sense. But yeah, I don't know if that's I don't know like psychologically if that's good or bad. But it was a choice I made. Uh, so so yeah, I'm with you on that, Maria. Georgie says how my kids feel matters the most over everything, and we only use kind words. Idiot is a swear word. Oh, I wish I was that good, Georgie. I try. But yeah, no, well done to you, darling. Becky says, yes, staying sober on my meds, accepting his feelings about things. Yeah, I love that, Becky. Fifi says, honesty and communication, open questions, and sharing emotions. Yes. Maxine says that it's okay to have feelings. You can cry and talk about your feelings. It's not attention seeking. Yes, Maxine. Mrs. BBX says, yes, about whistleblowing, if that's what it's called, if you want to call it. Believe them first. Yeah. Yaya says, not having them be my emotional punching bag. Honest and open conversations are so important. Agreed. JB says, listen to them, show them they are loved. Yes, yes, yes. CG says, not to hide feelings and drown sorrows, but to be open and honest. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. A lot of you missed that goodie bag. I'm going to do it again. Some coins got returned. If you want to get anything out of the goodie bag, just make sure you share the live or repost the live and you can get some coins out, everybody. Help yourselves. Um, Dan says, I think it's good thing you want her to understand. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Kat. Kat says it's very healthy. Thank you. Thank you for the gifts as well, everybody. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Just scrolling up. Sorry, I missed some comments. Danny says, I've been having the same conversations recently with my daughter. Thank you, Meg. Thank you, D-Light. Thank you, darlings. Appreciate it. Danny says, been having the same convos recently with my daughter because she sees me as different to other mums. Yeah, I think those conversations are important. Like I said at the start of this, I don't know if there's right or wrong to any of this. I think we're all, as parents, just feeling our way through stuff, right? Um, Georgie says, my kids know that whatever they do, I always love them. Yes. Yes. Honesty, not perfection, is important. Yeah. Kale says, also telling them I'm open for them to talk to any time about anything. Yeah, that's so important. So important. Um, oh, I'm sorry to hear that art protest. Gossip Girl says to be emotionally open and to show kindness, compassion, and no violence. Firm but fair. Yeah, I think that's it. Being emotionally open. Yeah. Dan says letting them know you're always there. Yes. Thank you, Mods, for putting the poll up. Uh, absolutely no judgment, Foos. Uh, Kat says I had to listen calmly. Turned out I raise my voice every 2 months. Yeah. Mm. No, cows. There's no guide to being a parent, but our parents wrote the guide on what not to do. Yeah, absolutely. Danny, I hear you on that. And that's the thing, we're all just trying to do our best, aren't we? We're all just trying to do our best. Yeah. All right, let's get another question for you. How do it's a tough question. How do you find balance between acknowledging the past and not letting it define your parenting journey? And if you're not a parent, um, just remove the parenting part. Just, how do you not let it define your family journey moving forward? Thanks, Leela. So how do you find a balance between? Oh yeah, opening boxes. Yeah, the boxes are open. If anyone wants to request. Fifi says therapy, therapy, therapy. Mama Five says I take it each day as it comes. Yeah, if anyone wants to get in a box, you are more than welcome. But absolutely, I'm going to be very strict. We are talking about um, breaking generational trauma in terms of what we're doing right now versus we're not doing trauma stories. I will mute and I will remove people because I'm just not emotionally equipped for it tonight. I don't want to trigger people. So if you are coming in the box, I want you to really focus on what the topic is tonight and from a position of what you're doing now versus sharing the story of whatever traumatic thing happened to you. Boxes are open if anyone wants to come up. Hey, Kat.
Oh, how do I turn my? Do you have uh Oh, I'm there. Hello.
You're there. Hi. What did you want to share?
Um, I I just wanted to share my experience, but I just wanted to ask you. So I'm trying to find my light. I just wanted to ask you if you had a time limit on sharing as well.
Um,
'Cause I know
well, uh, not a time limit as such, but like I just would rather people just get to the point rather than drag it out and not go into long stories about trauma. I just want people to focus on like what you're doing differently now from what
yeah.
happened versus telling the story of what happened, if that makes sense.
No, I hear you, and I appreciate that as well. Um, I um, I think like everybody that was brought up in the 90s, at the very least, had some kind of authoritarian parenting style, kind of how that's how they were parented. Um, and I was a single parent, and when I got pregnant, I was 25 and I was living in a student accommodation with five other people, and they were all younger than me because I was a mature student, and they were like, "Yeah, but that's about the right age, isn't it?" And I was like, "I live with you." So I felt like I didn't have, because I'd been brought up in a certain way, which was a bit beyond, which was a bit worse than maybe some of my peers. Um, I didn't have anything to base it off, and I would flip between losing my shit completely and then really feeling awful about it and being completely obsessive and like not putting him down when he was a baby and stuff like that, literally not putting him down. Um, and so I had to learn, and part of that learning was not finding techniques per se, but it was healing, and it was self-forgiveness, and it was having some perspective. Um, and I think parenting my son has been really healing for me because, at the very least, I think the practice of apologizing and taking responsibility for my own mistakes and acknowledging my humanness is an amazing skill of modeling. And my son eventually was diagnosed with ADHD and autism, as was I. And I remember it was particularly difficult when he was 3 and 4. And around those times, I'd seen some of my family, and twice they smacked him on the bum. And I was absolutely horrified. He didn't notice, thankfully.
Yeah.
They like tapped him. Um, and I would get this backlash of I'm either too strict or I'm too passive and permissive, and I'm do all this, gentle parenting, which I was really obsessive about because I felt like that would help me with my being single parent. It kind of how I coped was to really research a lot all the time.
Yeah.
And now he's 12, and he I mean, I can't take credit for all of it because he is his own person. It's his personality, but he is so caring, so kind. He's so passionate about the rights of other people. He is thoughtful. He is amazing at communicating his boundaries.
Kat, can
We
I ask you? Sorry to interrupt, because I feel like we're going off a little bit, but can I just ask
Okay.
you, what are some parenting choices that you've made that have to consciously break certain cycles in your family? What are some parenting
Yeah.
choices, yeah, that you've consciously made?
One thing that was really helpful for me, because I believe a lot of people probably do this, is repeating that, you'll suddenly like hear what your mum has said or something, was choosing some phrases that I felt comfortable with saying, however angry I was. So I would think of something like, I'm so upset about that, for instance,
Yeah,
and it was something that I could stick in my head. So when I was angry and out of control and I wasn't rational, that would be the thing that came first. And so, yes, I might have raised my voice, but I didn't say something I regretted later. And the other thing is to ask him for feedback about my parenting and how it made him feel,
yeah,
and listen to anything he had to say,
yeah,
no matter how small it seemed from my perspective, about anything he was upset about, because now he tells me bigger stuff. And as he gets only 12, as he gets older, I hope that that carries on.
yeah.
So
I
they're
think
the
that's
major,
great.
major things.
No, I think that's really great. Um, Thank you, my love. Listen, we got a lot of people in the boxes, so I'm just going to move
Yeah,
on to
he.
get some other voices on.
Thanks, Remy, love
Thank you
you.
for sharing that. Big loves, Kat. Take care. Bye, babe. Right, we got Georgie. I think Yaya's just popped away. We got Fufi. Hi, lovelies. Who wants to go next?
Hey, how are you?
Who's that? I can't see
It's
because you.
Geordie.
Oh, hello, Georgie. You're still.
Hello.
You look still muted to me.
Oh no, well, I'm off. Can you hear me? You can hear me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Oh,
oh,
good.
you're off now. You're off now. What would
Oh.
you like to say about breaking generational trauma? Can we focus more on
Yeah, of course,
the?
can.
Yeah. Okay. Go on.
I think it's for me with generational trauma. Unfortunately, it kind of comes naturally. It's what you've seen, what's been mimicked to you from your grandparents, from your parents, and it kind of,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's probably one of the scariest parts of it is that you are just without trying, you can easily repeat that. And that for me was something
Yeah.
that I kind of wasn't prepared to do.
Yeah.
But it terrified me, the thought of it. And I wasn't so frightened of it with my son, but because this trauma seemed to come from my nans, my great grandparents to my grandma, from my grandma to my mum, and I have brothers, so
Yeah.
I'm the only girl. I wasn't so worried about it with my son, but it was when I had my daughter. I remember she's sat next to me on the sofa and she does know the story. I remember being dreadfully upset, terrified about continuing that cycle.
Mm,
And I'm really pleased to say that, you know, part of having boundaries with my own family, that I won't allow that to seep into my home life, but also the fact that we are honest,
mm.
caring. I am firm, I'm a firm parent. I don't,
Yeah.
take, you know, but when it comes to speaking kindly to each other, that's a rule. Hands on each other, not allowed to put your hands on each other, at any point. And my children have been very much like that.
You're more on honesty than anything. If I'm going to do something wrong and I tell you and I'm honest, I won't. You obviously be angry, but you'd be more grateful I actually told you.
You
So
get
we
the
always
you get
say
the daughter's input as well. I think, and one of the things for me is my daughter's 14 now, but she struggled with her mental health with school.
Right.
She didn't cope with it, couldn't cope with the environment, and we chose to then homeschool her. So she's been homeschooled for 2 years now.
Yeah.
But she wanted to go back and try again. So obviously that incurs a cost when you're like, actually, I don't really want you to go, and I don't really want to pay the 300 quid for the uniform. But we were like, okay, go on then, go and try. And I remember on day 2 when she said to me, Mummy, I really can't do it. I don't like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, fine, come home. And it was the one thing she said to me when she got home that stuck, and it still sticks with me now, is that she was like, thank you so much to listening about how I feel, about caring about how I feel. And I think that's kind of me where I know I've kind of done all right.
Yeah.
Because that matters.
And would you say as a child you felt like you weren't listened to?
I feel like I was very much the black sheep of my family, if that's,
Yeah, I get you.
I think, my brothers were favoured. I wasn't. I was difficult though. I'm quite happy to say I was diagnosed with BPD in my 20s.
Yeah.
But that trauma kind of hit when I was about 14 living at home. And my mum, the way my mum handles situations is because of hers.
Yeah.
But this situation for me, when I was 14, made me very difficult to live with.
I get you.
And as a result, that's where I was kind of pushed to the side, kind of that bit more.
Yeah.
But, I think just for me, changing it when you've got mental health is really quite hard. I think that's harder.
Yeah.
However, I just did not want to be continuing that cycle. And I get on really well with my mum.
Yeah.
But again, it's on very strict terms.
Yeah.
She's done this to my daughter once. She spoke to my daughter once.
Yeah.
Like she used to speak to me. And that conversation ended swiftly with her being removed from my home.
Boundaries are so powerful, man.
and do you know what the thing is? And you will probably understand what I mean when I say this. It's small things. It was a very cut off, very small set of words, which was very final.
Yep.
I'm never doing this with you again, and it was kind of end of relationship terms with a 10-year-old kid. And I'm like, hang on a second, you could make me feel like that. Sorry, 1 second. I've got a foster dog here at the minute, and she's no, thank you. And she said a very final term to my daughter because she hadn't done what she wanted her to do, how she wanted her to do it.
I get you.
And I went, you don't get to talk to her like that. You did that to me my whole life, and you maybe only said it once to her, but once was the last time, and she doesn't get to do it. So things are better.
Good.
A lot better.
Good.
But it is possible, people, even if your brain at times can be a little bit broken like mine, it is still possible.
It is. Thank you for that, Georgie. That was a beautiful share and contribution from your daughter as well. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And sending you all big loves. Oh, look, you got some coins. Somebody sent you a gift.
Oh, thank you, guys. I really appreciate you. I'll let Lainey pick who she sends them to.
Aw.
Send them back.
All right, big loves to you. Thank you for sharing, Georgie.
Bye.
Bye, darling. Foofy McFoof.
Remy McRems.
Hello.
Hello.
Right, make it short and sweet, love. Make it short and sweet.
Oh, don't you dare unwind that. I'm setting some boundaries right this second.
Fucking hell. Go on.
Therapy. I can't recommend it highly enough. Honestly, as a child, I had therapy. As a young woman, I had therapy. As a mum, I had therapy. It's about the honesty and saying exactly what's going on. Don't lie to them. Explain to them in a way that your child can understand, dependent on your child's age and what the situation is. Be as honest as possible, because 9 times out of 10, it's the lies and the suspicion that makes everything a million times worse than it could be. And I've also encouraged my child. Nikki, I've never come out either. I still have it now, and I'm 56.
Listen, it's ongoing, Nikki. It never
Yeah,
stops.
absolutely. And genuinely, I think my son is just now finishing his second course because I encouraged him, because I'm very aware that as hard as I tried not to pass on some of my rubbish, of course I did.
Of
And I
course,
didn't,
yeah.
and I wanted him to have as clean a slate as possible.
I love
That's
that.
my way of breaking it.
I love
Was
that.
for me to deal with mine head on. I did. And then in hope that he asked me a question. Well, it wasn't so much blah, blah. It was a question. How would he know how to be a dad because he never had his dad around?
Oh,
And I said, the fact that you even think that, 100%, because you're conscious of it. You're conscious of what it means to you to be a good dad.
yeah. I
We
love that
had
question.
an honesty box as well, because some subjects can be difficult to know how to start a conversation, can't they?
Yeah.
So Lewis and I had a little box, and you could write something down on there, and you could put whether you wanted a reply or not. So it might just be, he might just want to say to me, you really annoyed me the way you spoke to me earlier on. I don't need a response. And I go, all right then, I'll take it on board. Or it could be something, and 9 times out of 10, he was right.
I couldn't even
Or,
imagine doing a box with my daughter. The amount of abuse that I would get in that box.
no, I think it's different with boys though, Remy. I genuinely do think it's different. I'm one of 4 girls and a brother. It's different with girls. But yeah,
But no, I
we
think
would write
that's
things
a
down.
really lovely idea, darling.
We'd have a conversation about it, or that would be the end of it. And sometimes, like if they're worried about something, you're trying to get to it. My mum said to me that I needed to try and be mindful of not creating something and making it bigger than it was because of my own past traumas.
Yes.
Because I live in like flight or fight. Don't dramatize things. It might not be a big deal to him. So I found that a really good way to open that conversation without giving him my panic mode, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm still working on that. I'm not even going to lie. I'm still working
Yeah, but my
on that.
child's 33 now, Remy. That's
I
the
know.
only, this was a voice come through the other end of it. I'm 56 now. It made me laugh when Kat said, oh, well, for those of us who brought up in the 90s, I thought, oh, God, I was a mum in the 90s. 1991, my child was born.
Oh, gosh.
But before I drop down, I just want to say once again, Remy, thanks for doing this.
Oh, you're very welcome, darling.
It's really reassuring to see so many people saying similar things. So then you've got those shared experiences, and actually it's okay.
And I think that's why these conversations are so important, because sometimes we feel like we're in our own heads or in our own little world, and when we see other people that are saying, I feel this way, or I it's so reassuring for all of us.
I am an overthinker, and I make no apologies for it now. Whereas I spent an awful lot of my life being like, oh, it's me, it's me, it's me. Yeah, it is me, but I like me.
Yeah.
Being that overthinker, I will see things that other people don't, and sometimes you get inside your own head and go, so just talk about it. I just think it's really, really important, isn't it?
Yeah. Before you go, what's on your boobs, please?
My cherry Bakewells.
Are you Starkers?
It's not me. If you look at it, we went to Calendar Girls, my mum's birthday.
I can't say. I can't. I'm short-sighted.
So,
I just saw a woman with boobies.
That's no woman. That's me. How dare you? They had like a placard thing, because in Calendar Girls they do the naked calendar, don't they?
Yeah.
So you could pop your head behind. So that's some cherry Bakewells.
Oh, I see.
Bit of icing on the side.
All right, get gone with your big
sweetheart. Like a bit of cake, hardly.
Get gone with your cherry Bakewell. Bugger off. Bugger off. Hello, the art of I can't remember the rest of your name. The art of protest. Hello.
Hi, name's Anna.
Hello, Anna. Welcome, darling.
First of all, if people have got your AirPods in, take them out, because my heart is beating. I apologise for the echo.
Oh, don't worry. Is it your first time in the box?
Yes. Well, no, it's the second. But the first time I gained about 5,000 followers, and I just was in some debate with some logic, and it scared the shit out of me. So I'm not going to lie. I'm not here for that. Stop the followers. Don't want none.
You'll be fine. Welcome, welcome.
What I want to say is thank you, because when you go through trauma, sometimes you can be trauma attracted. So I spent my last God knows how long watching dumb lives about dumb things that I'm thinking, why am I having nightmares for? So it was so nice to scroll and see this. Now back on topic.
Yeah. Thank
What
you.
do I do to kind of bring things back from my own trauma and stop the curses? One of the first things I did was apologize and take accountability. Because I think sometimes when we try and approach adults that do whatever or treat us however, they seem to forget or not know what was going on. And that baffled me. So, what I first did was hold them accountable because something happened.
Yeah.
And when you hold trauma, what I'm going to say to people is if you hold trauma and you think, yeah, I'm a big, beautiful warrior, it's gone, blah, 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 don't be fooled.
No,
Because
mate.
it can take one little thing and everything just comes right back to like you're living in that moment.
When you said you apologized, you mean you apologized to yourself?
No, I apologize to my kids first
Okay.
because the apology to me came through. I didn't need to apologize to myself. The fact that I held people accountable gave me some inner strength to think,
Yeah.
and it was one after the other after the other.
Yeah.
And that's where I realized that these people do not hold accountability. So the first thing I had to do if I want to break that curse is say, yeah, I'm a messed up mother and this is why. So not only did I hold accountability,
Yeah.
I also gave them space. Now, obviously, when you don't deal with these things, the dysfunction within your own family is insane. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, I started to tell them I loved them and everything became all right.
Yeah.
For me, in my situation, it didn't work.
Yeah.
I was a twat.
Yeah.
You know, I went from abuse, which then led me to an abusive person, which
Yeah.
then led me into being groomed, whatever. I'm not doing a trauma dump, but
Yeah.
I
There's a
turned my
pattern there.
heart into God. There's a pattern.
Yeah. I get
And
that.
that pattern was carrying on. And I didn't realize when you live in your stuff and you think, yeah, I'm doing okay because they're fed, they're clean, they're nice. I told them I loved them like the other person, but did I really mean it? I don't know because I didn't understand what it was. I
So
was,
what was
yeah.
the moment? What was the moment that you realized that something needed to change for you?
When I had a younger, it's hard to say because I'm not going to go into the past, a near-death experience.
Okay.
So from that, it's a case of this is where you've allowed whatever to make you feel that you're worthy of this. And it's like, it was almost like, you know, when they say a phoenix rises again,
Mm,
it
mm,
just made me realize, yo, you've got kids at home. What the hell are you doing being so reckless?
mm.
And by that time, they were teens. And I'm like, oh my God, the damage is already done. So one of us has to hold accountability. Now, what I don't accept is when they mess up and I can see it's emotionally connected.
Yeah.
I accept that. And we can talk, we can write letters, we can have a
Yeah.
discussion. Even if you want to give me a brandy, no, learn, you don't drink with your kids, especially if you've got trauma. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that create a chilled vibe, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's all about, you know, I had to accept the things they were saying to me and try and explain where them things came from, but the damage is done. So when they're messing up and it's something that you had a choice about that, you chose to take that soft option,
Yeah.
and now you might be in jail and it's all my fault, get lost. You know, that's when
Yeah.
I accept some of it, but it wasn't just me. You know, it's a case of I will maybe give you canteen, but when you're getting yourself in solitude, can't help you. I just leave a space, you know,
Yeah.
like
I get
because
you. I get
I'm
you.
not enabling them to use me
No.
as their punch bag.
No. No.
You know, it's like I don't know. So what I had to also do was drop my standards. I'm a military child.
Mm.
So you grow up, all the family's military. I failed the test deliberately, I may add, because I didn't want that pressure. But then I became the black sheep.
Yeah.
But what I had to do was, as I was growing up as a parent, undo them standards. Who actually gives a damn if it's corner to corner on a towel? If it's
Mm.
folded, it's folded. You know, I
Right.
had to drop and undo and unpick
Yeah. What?
everything and everybody that was stronger than me. But that's when it comes back to the accountability, because when I held them accountable,
Mm.
they didn't know what to do. But I
Yeah.
felt so damn powerful. For once in my life, I felt, you know what? All you lot have put me down, made me feel like the shit on the bottom of your shoe. But all of a sudden now, this woman is approaching you as a grown person and a parent herself, and you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
forgive them at that point. I pity them at that point. And when I began to pity them and understand their story, I became so flipping powerful.
Yeah.
I'm not healed.
The shift happens, and it's funny you say it because I
It's
noticed that with
instant.
my mum. Yeah, and I wrote her a letter and called her out on her shit to hold her accountable as well. Now she never responded to it, but I know she read it because the next time we saw each other, like she didn't
She
necessarily
treated you different.
apologize, but the power dynamics changed.
Yeah, and she treated you different, and
It's
you could
hundred
look at
percent.
her as that. When you're young and you feel like the not the underdog. I don't mean like but you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
I know.
When you don't feel so mighty and you feel like the one with all this overpowering you, when you switch that back
Yeah,
and you see them shrivel,
yeah,
they don't need to say anything else. And the
yes,
natural, if we're a loving person, that will wrap around them, and that's how things get repaired.
yes,
Don't ever blame ourselves.
yeah,
Don't ever shout at that. For me, I'm not telling people what to do, but for me, I can go angry. I can go stupid. I could be doing whatever
yeah.
that we do as a coping mechanism. I'm riddled with illness. You think I'll take a painkiller? No, because it gives me strength, and that doesn't. That's not a. I'm frightened to have the painkillers around back then, but
Yeah,
because I realized I didn't have them around back then, and I'm still doing okay, keep them away from me.
yeah,
My inner strength comes from the fact that slowly by slowly, I'm rebuilding. And the power of that happened today. And it's such an emotional experience for me that shows you these bonds can be changed.
yeah.
So I have dysfunctional children that have been born into whatever that they didn't ask for. I did my best and I fucked up. But then I had a next you like 8 years later, and I
Mm,
raised her on my own. And without any interference, what she became taught me that what my ability is. And then what I had to do was my children that were born into the shit, I had to open my door and say, yo, come, just come. Whatever you want to fire my way, fire it my way. Yes, I was dumb and young when I raised you. I'm now a mature woman, and thank God for that young one. But the sad thing is, they're obviously envious of her and what we had. It's
mm,
just timing. I didn't ever, I thought she would fix our family. It didn't work that way,
mm.
but it's just timing. But slowly today, like the man that was one of my perpetrators, their dad, they're all in his yard today. I've pulled them all together. They don't talk to each other because all they saw was madness. They all came together today and went to fix up their dad's house, and he is a hoarder.
Mm.
But when you've got your three youths and you think, look, we've come from all this
Yeah,
and we've turned it back round and we're now working as a team. And this Christmas is going to be our first one together. I'm shitting it. And I've set the rule, no alcohol. They're all calling me freak. No, don't mix family and alcohol when you've got emotions. Don't do it.
mm,
If you not want to drink together or go do what you're going to do when you go do it. But my purpose is to be in that house with all of you together and your dad, and let's just whack this out this Christmas. And that came from recognizing I've got the one that they get me to see a psychiatrist for. Yeah, I'll see
yeah.
him, but I hope he's ready for me. But I
Listen.
don't really want to talk about, for me personally, I'm one of them block it out, because to
Mm.
block it out gives me strength. But again, I know that one day it's going to come bam,
Oh,
but
it
not
will.
right now.
And also, I really believe that when we carry trauma in ourselves and we block it out, or like I like to say, I've got a little compartment in my brain where I put things in a room and I shut the door. I still believe when it's undealt with or not dealt with, it will come out, whether it will come out physically or whether it will come out in form of an illness. If we hold that shit in our
Right.
body,
I
I
had two
really,
brain
yeah,
aneurysms, two brain hemorrhages.
yeah,
Oh, it's that kind of thing, because you see,
mm,
one thing you see people when you're stressing yourself out. What I learned through my brain hemorrhages, when you're stressed, your blood gets thick and your oxygen
correct,
leaves your blood.
correct,
And when that's trying to push through tense veins because you're anxious and you're tight, you're going to have a bust out somewhere. Mine happened to be in the brain. And there was a reason I survived. And there was another time where I woke up and thought, you know what? He keeps bringing me back into this world where I've probably had about 4 near-death experiences. I'm here for a reason.
yeah,
And the reason is to break that trauma, no
mm,
matter what cost to me. And I've worked them things out. I'm nowhere near healed, mate.
no,
I've knocked my 7 days a week drinking a bottle of wine every night, drinking it fast because I feel guilty about drinking it, to 3. I'm not there yet.
You're on your journey, though. You're on
I'm
your
on my
journey.
journey and I can come off my journey again, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not going to beat myself up.
I think the greatest power is just recognizing like what it is and trying our best to do something about it. And
Taking back your power.
yeah, and
It's
yeah.
okay to speak to these people because they come so weak when
Mm.
you actually hold them accountable. And that's why I held myself accountable before my bloody strong warriors held me accountable. Listen, I'll do it first. Please
Oh,
don't come
bless
for me.
you.
And what they got last Christmas was just a letter,
Mm.
not the same copy and paste,
Yeah.
a different letter to each of them, and they will treasure that for the rest of their life. And that's just me saying, yo, I fucked up.
Mm.
Where do we go from here?
I
And look,
love
like
that.
it's what
I
we have
love
to
that.
do. Hold them accountable. Not
Yeah.
me, not you, not anybody on this panel. Hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Anyway, drop
Thank
me.
you.
My
Thank
cheeks
you
are hot.
so much for coming up. You were brilliant in the box, so thank you so
Oh,
much.
oh,
Big loves,
whatever.
Art of Protest. Big loves.
No, take care. Bye
Bye,
bye.
darling. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, Queen Yaya.
Hello, my beautiful girl. How are you doing?
I'm really good. You got the last 10 minutes, girl. What you want to say?
Oh man, I've cried. I've
Oh!
eaten 6 bags of crisps. But no, because I can't cry if I'm eating, so I've just literally.
It's been a lovely live tonight, hasn't it?
Well, do you know what? I don't just say it to creep up your ass. I needed it. I needed to
Oh.
hear other people. I needed those words. So, not going too deep into it.
Mm.
Where I'm at the minute is I recognised the cycles when I was 30.
Yep.
Something happened, recognised them, cut a whole heap of people off because, it's if it's not doing me, if it's not benefiting me where I gain, but if it's not doing me any good, my mental health or the above, I have to cut it. For
Mm.
me to be 100% myself and or the above. But where I find myself at the minute, I'm so hyper vigilant on not repeating those cycles.
Yeah.
I feel like I've made my own,
I get
and
you.
I'm
I
slowly
get
but
that.
surely rubbing it off. And because I'm so hyper aware of it,
Mm.
there's a breakdown in relationships. So, without
Yeah.
going into anything, um, I need to go back to just. Have you ever read the book The Power of Now?
I know I've got it though.
You
I haven't read it, but I've got it.
just living in this moment, right at this very second. I'm safe.
Mm.
I am happy. I'm content. The kids are safe and happy, and it's just that I think I'm so worried about the future because I know what's happened in the past
Mm.
that I'm trying to control their surroundings and what they're doing and the risks that may come about that I not necessarily let it go. It hasn't happened. It's not
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And I think just kind of remind myself that I think I mentioned to you before, parenting my two, not for the parent that my inner child
Mm.
needed or that she's craving out for,
Mm.
but for the parents that they need. And the parent that little Yaya needed is not
Mm.
the parent that my two need.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'm so glad okay, it might take me 16 years, but it's still at a point where I can have those open conversations with them and say, there's a reason why I parent and I'm overprotective and I'm this, that and the other because I was an underprotective child.
Mm.
Um
Yeah.
but but that doesn't mean that I have to be as overprotective or this. It's just a little bit of understanding. So I think someone mentioned about having those open and honest conversations,
Mm.
but just also be mindful. Me, you've done with therapy. I think I've got another month, and then I'm going back to that bitch. I need somebody to talk to.
But no, I
Yeah,
feel very similar to you in that, in terms of yeah, being very mindful of what, my inner child needs, but also not letting that affect too aggressively how I then parent my child now,
yeah,
and with my overprotectiveness. And I've got anxiety anyway, so I'm aware that I am more overprotective of her
yes.
because of the lack that I had. So there's still work that I need to do. But I definitely relate to you on that, like 100%. I get you on that.
Just bullshit, isn't it?
It's just
It's some
fucked.
bullshit.
It's like
Yeah,
we try and break those generational traumas. We try to do better, and then we might end up taking it too far the other way. And it's just like, where's the
that's
balance?
it. And do you know what I think? It's tiresome, and it can
Yeah.
be like I'm exhausted just from this life. My eyes are stinging, my belly's full.
Mm,
Um, but because I want, do you know what? Remember, we're only here once,
yeah.
and we're so blessed to be able to wake up. And I know it sounds
Yeah.
very cliche, but
No,
I
we
have to
are.
hold on to those little things in order to carry on.
Mm,
And as long as I've got two little human beings that they're so loving, and they're so open and honest, and I
yeah.
see little traits, and it makes me super proud. And hey, that's got to be enough, surely. Not
Yeah.
enough, not that I will give up, but
No, I know what you mean.
I'm
And
doing something.
I think I think I think we are doing enough, but I also think because of our own traumas that we are always never going to think we're doing enough.
Yes.
And I think we've probably far exceeded um, experiences that we've had for our children, but I think we're always going to feel like we're not doing enough.
Oh man, I need another packet of crisps.
Oh,
Oh man,
Georgie.
no, absolutely. Do you know what? I'm surrounded by beautiful fucking. I'm sorry, my language is
It's
disgusting.
all right,
I'm
don't
telling you,
worry.
I'm just, and it is. It's just the power of now. Right at this very second, I'm fucking blessed.
Yeah,
And little Ashton, I hope to God she's proud of how far we've come. Oh shit! I'm fucking Jesus Christ. I hope that little me is super proud. And again, it's a lot of people speak about how they tell their children that they love them, and it means more to some than it does to others, to hear it back.
mm,
But I will just continue to tell them that you are loved, you are safe, you are
yep,
supported, and I'm so very proud. But I think it's also having those conversations with yourself.
yeah, very much so. I agree, and as you've just said that, I've realised I don't have those conversations enough with myself and reminding myself that I am safe, that I am loved, and but I do wake up every day with gratitude, and I'm always grateful for a new day, like every day, like that's why I spring out of bed every day. I'm always grateful just for having another day here on earth. So but yeah, I do need to do that more as well. We've got a mirror in the bathroom actually, and it's got some beautiful words on. But my annoying builder, I've told you about my fucking annoying builder who put a hole in my roof. He's put it too high. It needs to be at eye level, so I don't ever look at it. So I need to get him to move it down so that I can say those words to myself every day again. But listen, thank you for coming up, Yaya. I'm going to wrap the room, babe.
Okay, my angel.
Love
Oh,
you, Yaya. You're a
oh, I love
brilliant,
you
brilliant
too.
mum, and I love your children. Art of protest. I'm going to close the room now, darling. Um, but yeah, no, you're amazing, Yaya, and thank you for coming up. Listen, thank you everyone for coming up today. It's been a really powerful live today. Who sent that? Hold on, all the boxes just opened. Oh, that was Danny. Thank you, Danny. It didn't play you a song though. Well, that's outrageous. Let's get that on. Oh, Hannah Montana sent one as well. Hold on. We need two. Hold on. The music stopped. I think it puts itself into like suspend mode. That was for you, Danny. A little bit of flute love for Hannah Montana. Um, I feel lonely every day I wake up. I do get through the day. Oh, bless you, JG Rose. Um, we've got some lovely people in here, JG, who offer an inbox or an ear if you need it. So, Infinite, thank you, my love. Thank you for the forever, Rosa. Um, yeah, so JG, if you do ever need someone to talk to, there are lots of amazing people in here who will be an ear to talk to. There we go, Art of Protest. If anybody needs a trauma buddy, add me up. We should couple up so we ain't alone. I can't remember who all the people were. I think Foose was one, Fufi McFoose, but I don't know if she's still here. But there were a couple of other people who were happy to, um, you know, be in here. Anyway, we're going to close with a song, so, you know, get your tissues out. I'm back tomorrow at 11, but I've got a big announcement at 12, so if you're not following, make sure you follow, and make sure you join us tomorrow from 11. Love you all.